Hello, everybody. Welcome to Excelling Youth channel, YouTube channel. It is good to see you. Thank you for joining us. And this is a moment for our youth, for our young people. And it's team Excelling Youth Reflections, and is something that has been laid upon my heart to share with the youth, the young adults. Yes, so expect to see some of these videos about excelling youth reflections, where we reflect on things in lives, topics in lives, and the different examples of things that we can learn from people. So it's important that we take a step back and help our young people to reflect on some of these things. And by reflecting on it, they are able to learn some vital lessons that will help them in this life journey. So welcome to Excelling Youth Reflections. And last time we were dealing with a topic on who is the salt of the earth. And we realize that we all are the salt of the earth. And it's famously in the Bible verse of Matthew chapter 5, verse 13, you are the salt of the earth. But if the salt loses its saltiness, how can it be made salty again? It is no longer good for anything except to be thrown out and trampled underfoot. And we realize that that is not what the purpose of our lives is supposed to be. That is not the purpose of God creating human. He wants us to be useful, to be resourceful, to make an impact, to add value. And that is what exactly salt does. And we use the analogy that when you have food that is meant to have salt in it, but then you realize that salt is missing already. The moment you take the first spoon full into your mouth and you start eating, you realize that something is missing. A vital ingredient is missing. Some useful ingredient is missing, and that useful ingredient is salt. And all of us, every person created by God here on this earth, has come here for a purpose, to be a salt. And today we are going to discover, how to be the salt of the earth. And you even touch a bit on asking ourselves, what kind of salt are we? Because we will get to find out that we can be various things. We all have our unique points. We all have something special about us. So we are going to, it seems as though we are different salt. We are different tastes. We are different flavor. Yet we are salt, like even in the shops right now, and your parents, or if you're a young person that cook, you will testify that when you go to the shops, there are different types of salt. There are even flavored salt. So yes, we are all salt, but there are different salt. There are some that are, chunky salt. There are some that are fine. There are some that are cooking salt. There are some that are table salt and things like that. So as we are explaining more about how to be the salt of the earth, I hope that you come to that understanding that you are valuable, you are useful. There is a purpose for your life, and you begin to look for that purpose and start to work on yourself to become that salt who will impact on the people of this earth. So today, how to be the salt of the earth. We discover, or we explore, let us explore a story of this amazing woman that I've come to learn about and has really inspired me. Her name is Ida Sakada, or Ida Sakada. This woman's story is mind-blowing and is a great example of how to become the salt of the earth. I mean, if you are looking for, an example, it's not documented in the Bible, but it's our, daily living example of how to become the salt of the earth. So, Madam Ida Sakada comes from a missionary family. Now, a missionary family is a family that goes out to a different country rather than their own country where they live, or were born and bred. So they go to a faraway country usually to share the gospel of Jesus Christ, to tell others about Christ. And the amazing thing about most of these missionaries is they did not only go there to tell people about the Bible, about the salvation message about Christ, they also added to it meeting the physical needs of the people, looking around the problems that people were actually experiencing in those countries, the realities, the hardship that people were going through. And they used the wisdom of God and the skills, the talents, the knowledge that they have acquired over the years to solve the problems in those countries. And Madam Ida Sakada, or Mrs. Ida Sakada, as a young woman, living with her family who were missionaries, as any young person who lived in the United States of America at the time, had everything at her disposal. Things were nice and rosy, a beautiful country like America at the time. And the date is early 1900, so you can imagine she was living her life and things were better. So she, as a young woman, could not understand why her family would travel and leave, the nice, comfortable country like the United States and move to India, into a country where they had, nothing, where the people were struggling, where there was famine, there was so much pain. So it was something that she was always not looking forward to, going on that missionary trip with her parents. But being a young person, she had to go. And she was living her life. It was her parents who were making the impact, doing all the missionary work. And her dad was also a doctor. So in addition to sharing the gospel of Jesus Christ, teaching people about the word of God, the Bible, he was also looking after patients, looking after the sick in the community, giving them medicine, attending to them, and helping them to recover from their sickness. And it's something that the community really appreciated very much. So something changed for young Ida one day. So one day she was there with her family, and three different young men came at different times, but it was almost like, one after the other. And they came, they wanted to see Ida. And they spoke to Ida and they said to Ida that they are teenage wives. And these were the times that people could marry that young as a teenager. But thank God these days, our young people have the freedom to live, their young lives, to gather all the skills, all the knowledge, all the experience they need before they go to marry, especially our young ladies. But that wasn't the case a long time ago. So the men came to see Ida, and their request was that their teenage wives were in labor and they were having difficulties. So they needed her to come and help. And she saw that the situation was really bad because these three different young men have really come. They were sweating. They were terrified. And she wanted to help. But she realized that she was not a medical doctor. It was his dad who was a medical doctor. So she said to these young men that, okay, I'm going to tell my dad. My dad will be on his way. He's going to come and help you. I assure you, he's going to come right away. And to her amazement, to Ida's shock, the men said to her that no, don't bother. If it's not you coming, don't bother letting your dad come, because we would rather let our wives die than to let another man set their eyes on them. To let another man set his eyes on them. And Ida was shocked. I could not understand why. But this were the culture of the day. These were the values of the people at the time, that they did not want any man near their wives. So that day, Ida could not sleep, especially when she heard the news later that all the three young ladies have lost their lives and have lost the baby as well. She was devastated. And at the time, she felt that this was her, coming face to face with God. She could not believe what has just happened. She felt like she could not do anything. She felt so useless. And that feeling was not a great feeling. So she took it upon herself to do something about it. So she began. She was a very talented woman, but at the time, when she was young, she thought, what, this are my parents, they are at work, I'm here, I'm just enjoying myself. But when this incident took place, she said to herself, no, I need to do something. I can't just allow sit down and do nothing and let young ladies like myself die just because there is no female doctors in their communities. So Ida went back to the United States of America. And this story is so beautiful. She went and trained to become a medical doctor. The account says that 10 years, I mean, now thanks to technology, it doesn't take that long to become a medical doctor. But at the time, it took her 10 good years to become a full medical doctor. But she did it. I'm sure it was stressful. I'm sure it was painful. Many hours of studies, many hours of research, many hours. Yet she did it because she wanted to make an impact. She wanted to go back and make a difference in every young lady's life back in India. She was becoming the salt of the earth. She was going to be valuable to that community. She wasn't just going to be there and do nothing and be cast out and be trampled on. No, she was going to do something. She was going to use the God-given talent and abilities and the mind. She was going to put all of that to use to benefit other people. So 10 years, she became a qualified doctor and she raised funds. Oh, this story is amazing. She raised funds to go back to India and she built a one bed hospital. And she began the work of looking after these female patients, expecting mothers. She began looking after them and they began having their babies safely. The one bed 10 to 40 beds hospital in 2 years. Amazing. Eventually, it became a 3,000 bed healthcare system. This is wonderful. You see how Ida, the young lady Ida, became the salt of the earth. It was a journey. It was a process. It wasn't just one day. It took time. But she had that vision. She had a goal. She had a purpose. She had a dream. She wanted to make the impact. She wanted to help people. She wanted people to have the best of life here on this earth. Yes, she gave them the gospel. She gave them the things that they required to motivate them, to inspire them, to put their mindset right. But also she ministered to them physically. She attended to their physical problems, their problems that they were facing in reality daily. She didn't turn a blind eye and just told them, the gospel and left them. No, she solved problems. So becoming the salt of the earth, you need to look around you. You need to look around you. What are the problems around you in the country that you are living in? What are the issues there? There might be no, clean water where you are living as a young person. Don't just go to bed and wake up every day. Don't just go to school and come home and play. Begin to think about what you can do to solve that water problem, the water shortages in your community. Begin to think about how you can solve that problem. I don't know where you might be watching from. If it's a developing country, it might be electricity problem. And you are in secondary school right now. You might be in college. You might even be an undergraduate learning, and your interest is in science. You are gifted in science. You are talented in science. That thing you are reading, if you make it your goal, if you purpose in your heart that you want to solve that electricity problem, guess what will happen? God is going to bring all the information as you are walking, as you are reading the book. Something will drop. You will go somewhere and somebody will say something. Go on the internet and you start, learning, and some ads will flash, or a book will come your way. And these are some of the things that helps direct us to our purpose, to that vision. But you first of all need to make yourself available. So how to be the salt of the earth? Number one is to make yourself available. We saw that Ida, as a young person, made herself available. She said, sure, if the community needs female doctors to solve their problems, I am going to become a female doctor. And the amazing thing that she didn't only just build over 3,000 bed hospital, she began to train people in that country to also become doctors, young people coming up to also become doctors. And up till now, they celebrated 119 years of that health system, that health institution that Ida set up. They celebrated it just last year. She is still, speaking in the community. Her impact, the salt that she left in that community, everybody, generation after generation, are still tasting it. How beautiful is that? I'm sure she is smiling in heaven, being fulfilled. So number one, to become the salt of the earth, you need to become available. You need to avail yourself. You need to be ready. You need to make up your mind. You need to desire to solve a problem. And that problem, you are the salt to that problem. So you need to find out what it is that you want to become, the salt for. Then you also need to be resourceful. You need to be resourceful. All this young age, as you are growing up, this is your time that you are learning. Remember, Ida had to go back to school, had to go back and train as a medical doctor. She had to go back and train as a medical doctor. She had to go back and train as a medical doctor. But she was prepared to do so. She was prepared to do so. So she went back and gathered the skills, the knowledge, the information that she needed to become. So she was the salt of the earth, but she had to become. Just like you are a boy, or there's a boy, there's a girl, there is a man in them, there's a woman in them, but they need to become. As they are growing, as they are learning, they are becoming the man, they are becoming the woman. So yes, you are the salt of the earth, but you need to grow to become the salt for what? What problem, what issues are you going to solve on this earth? Are you going to be useful to? So it will take time. You need to be prepared to learn. You also need to take action. You also need to take action. So number one, you need to be available. Number two, you need to be resourceful. You need to find and think about solutions. You need to live a life with a purpose. You need to have a goal in mind, what it is that you are going to impact people on, what it is that you are going to contribute to on this earth. You need to be open to continue learning. You need to be learning continuously. The learning doesn't stop. The minute you finish your GCSE, the minute you finish your secondary school, you are learning all the time, because life is always advancing. There are new things, there are new problems, new issues coming up, like the corona is a new thing altogether. So if we are stopped learning, then we are stuck. But we have to go back and keep learning to find a solution to corona, which is a new challenge that the world is facing right now. So in learning, you are collecting the rich materials, the things that is going to build you, going to strengthen you, going to equip you to make the impact. So we realize that even when naturally farmers go to get the salt from the sea or the water, they don't just gather the salt artisans and put it on our shelves. No, it goes through a process. And one of the process is that they put it under intense heat so that all the water will be evaporated, leaving the quality salt behind. It goes through a process. And the same way, becoming the salt of the earth, you are going to go through a process. It's not going to be easy. Ida didn't find it easy. You think 10 years of studying, raising funds, building hospital, it's not an easy task, but it's a task that is well worth it, because you're going to make an impact in the world. You're going to help people. You are going to be the light, to be a blessing to many, many people to come. So you are the salt of the earth, but you need to learn to become the salt of the earth, to be valuable. Let Ida's story encourage you that no matter how old you are, don't look down on yourself that, oh, I am young when I grow up. No, right now, from the young age, you can become, you can start to prepare. You can build some experience, some skills right from your age. Just target one area that you want to make an impact in. Target a community, target a town, target even your local streets. What can you do? How can you become salt there? And by living that kind of life on its own, we might not even have to, say much about the gospel, but people will begin to sit up and know that this is the true gospel. On their own, they'll begin to look for Christ, knowing that he helps us to make an impact. So may God really bless you. I hope you have enjoyed our Excelling Youth Reflections, and please subscribe to this channel so that you will get all the reflections as we bring them to you. We're also holding our Excelling Kids Fest next week, 25th of July 2020. Please do take part, spread the word, let others know it is happening 1 p.m. on Facebook and here on our channel, so that they can also be blessed. We are the Excelling Kids and Family Group. We are here to empower our young people, to inspire them, to motivate them, to help them grow ready, so that when they are